He is an entrepreneur in every sense of the word, and I know that he will have a wonderful and powerful message for us all. I give you our luncheon speaker and mayor, Cory A. Booker.
Good afternoon, everybody. Come on, good afternoon. I love it. Now look, I am standing here right now because I feel like I'm looking at my family. Now, I have to say I'm looking at my family because I am the black sheep of the family. I got involved in politics. My father and my grandfather used to give me such a hard time. They went off to college and grad school and law school. Finally, they got tired. They're like, kid, come on, you got more degrees in the month of July and you're not hot. And then I get out of law school and I get into politics, and my father's like, I'm still waiting for you to get a job. When are you going to earn a living? When are you going to create wealth and value and opportunity? Because this was the history in my family. I grew up with a grandfather who was so gutsy of an entrepreneur, growing up and coming of age in Detroit, Michigan. My mom used to tell me story after story that he then would tell me the same stories, highly exaggerated, about the businesses that he started. My grandfather was such, and I mean this in the best sense of the word, but such a hustler that he could do anything. So he was a poor boy born to a single mother in Louisiana, migrates north, as many African Americans did in the 1940s, to land in Detroit, Michigan. Can't find a job at the auto plant, so he waits and finds out a guy that died. He then goes in and poses as that guy in order to get the job. It worked for a little while. And then the guy called the plant manager, or the manager of his, called him into the office and said, sir, you aren't who you say you are. And somehow my grandfather talked him into keeping him on the assembly lines. And so my grandfather then, being the guy that was a hustler, saw that the workers weren't doing what they should and began organizing and became one of the highest ranking African American union organizers at that time. But that was what he was doing for the large company. But he didn't stop then. He's like, God gave me 24 hours, I'm gonna use every single one of them. And if you want the things in life that other people don't have, you've got to be willing to do the things in life that other people don't do. As simple as that. And so he started opening businesses. My mom told me he tried everything. He opened up a pool hall. He opened up a gas station. He opened up a laundromat. My mom tells me she remembers stories of counting quarters at the table, trying to figure out how they were going to go again on the next day, because my grandfather believed in child labor and put his kids to work. So I grew up with a culture in my household of entrepreneurialism. And you try, and you'll fall sometimes. But we come from a history in America of industry, a history of entrepreneurialism, a history where people did not accept what is, but always saw what could be. These are the people who didn't see obstacles, they saw opportunity. Who didn't see barriers, they saw blessings. That didn't see pitfalls, but they saw pools of potential. And I love entrepreneurs. Kentucky Fried Chicken was started by a man that was a senior citizen. Not by some young buck going out there, but a guy who was entrepreneurial. They blocked out African Americans from opportunity, so we started our own businesses in our own communities. Entrepreneurialism. Jews were blocked out from many businesses. They started their own companies and were entrepreneurial. These are people that didn't see discrimination and bigotry as a dead end, but they saw it as a challenge to their moral imagination to find ways forward to make a way out of no way. Now, my dad was a salesman, like my grandfather. That man could talk. Maybe that's why I'm a politician. My father would tell me story after story about this spirit, about you have a choice in every moment of your life. You can accept conditions as they are or take responsibility for changing them. You can become you, or you can take what is in you and transform what you see. Now, Abraham Lincoln said this, everyone is born an original, but sadly, most die copies. Now, you all in this room are family because you seem to embody that spirit of my grandfather and my grandmother and my mother and my dad, that you refuse to accept what's before you, that you want to create opportunity, you want to create hope, you want to create economic abundance. You believe that God wants us to have life and have it more. Somebody went to church here. I don't know. I heard some people quiet on this side of the room. Pray for them. My father tells me a story about the man who was on a boat with another man. They were both dropped off on an island to sell shoes. Both men, one on the north side, one on the south side, called back to the boat and said the same thing, get the boat back here. The first guy was like, get the boat back here and get me off this island. There's only natives here. They don't wear shoes. And the other guy's like, get the boat back here and bring some crates of shoes. There's only natives here and they don't wear shoes. I can make 1 million sales. How do we view life when we open up the door? How do we view the world? This is the challenge of America today. It's, do we still have this sense where anything is possible? Where no matter how difficult the day, no matter how challenging the circumstances, no matter how many times I fell down before, I'm going to learn, because it's not a failure unless you fail to learn the lesson, and I'm going to keep going. Now let me tell you the truth. My first experience with my family's history of entrepreneurialism was on Teaneck Road in Teaneck. And it was a family debate because we were going to open up a soul food restaurant, because I'm telling you right now, y'all back off, my mama is the best Southern cooker. It was the biggest fight I ever had with my mother was when I told her I was going to be a vegetarian. An insult to the culinary delights of the family. And we were going to open up a restaurant on Teaneck Road. And the debate in the family was what to call it. One part of the family thought we should call it Fat Booker's, P-H-A-T. And the other part was Cab's Kitchen, because everybody in my family is C-A-B. My father's Carrie Alfred Booker, my mom's Carolyn, my brother's Carrie, and I'm Cory. And they're all the better Bookers, as I said. And so Fat Booker's lost, and we opened up Cab's Kitchen. Now, my father inherited from my family this ideal that if you are a child, you labor. And so I was cleaning collard greens at 5 o'clock in the morning. I was waiting tables, which I think every American should have to do. It will teach you to be polite. It will teach you to be civil. It'll teach you to take an insult or two and smile and keep on moving. It prepared me for politics. We worked that restaurant and worked it, and then something happened. To this day, I tell you, if your mayor gets arrested for something, it'll be for making terroristic threats against a certain institution. Because right across the street from us, Popeyes opened. Popeyes. But eventually we failed in that entrepreneurial endeavor. Now that's the truth of what it is. In America, most small businesses that open, if I have my data correct, ultimately fail. But the failure, number one, can be a gift. And I saw my father take the lessons from that and apply it to other endeavors and show a lot of success. But more importantly, what that experience taught me was that you have got to take risks in life. That ultimately, as bad and as dark as a failure may be, that they will be the foundation for your next success. I talk to friends of mine who are entrepreneurs, and in fact, there's an entrepreneur in this city who has a big business who tells me, I love to hire entrepreneurs who failed, because they have an education that no university could ever give them. But the challenge for us today is that so many of us are frozen by fear. So many of us underestimate what it takes in terms of courage that we end up not doing what we're called to do. Now, I have a definition of faith that I love. It says, when you come to the end of all the light you know, and you're about to step into the darkness, faith is knowing one of two things will happen. Either You will find solid ground underneath you when you step, or the universe will send you people who will teach you how to fly. Now look, we knew when we came into City Hall, and I say we because I ain't alone. I have extraordinary groups of people that help me every day inside City Hall, not to mention the partnerships without. I've got a 9-member body of City Council that maybe from far away looks like we fight a lot, but the truth of the matter is we all come together on what's important. I want to recognize Carlos Gonzalez that is here. Where's Carlos? There he is. He's an incredibly vanishing man. Don't applaud for him too loud. I hate him right now because we started this Let's Move campaign, and he's dropping weight quicker than anybody. I'm going to send him some fat bookers. But the council and I said that this city will never succeed if we stick with strategies of just trying to draw businesses to our community and chasing after large corporations. I'm very proud that we're almost in discussions with Panasonic to bring them here. We got Bartlett's Dairy that came in the last month that is the biggest dairy distributor for Starbucks in the region, hundreds of jobs for Newark and the South Ward. I'm very proud that companies like Audible.com doubled down in the city of Newark. Standard Chartered Bank doubled down in the city of Newark. I'm thrilled, more than you can imagine, that Manischewitz now chose us as their world headquarters, matzah for everyone. We are excited that there is more and more companies, from Pitney Bowes to Mimeo.com, coming here, but the strategy of the council and I from the very beginning was, we know that when it comes to hiring in America, the real engine for job creation is small businesses. And that what we want to do is, after our time, our short, brief time in office, is that we want to show a record in Newark of starting businesses from our larger community. Starting businesses that are small, that are representing often people that are traditionally not seen, women and minorities. And we said that we're not going to just try to do that, we're going to put our money where our mouth is. And that's why we started a local loan fund. And BCDC started programs to help and do more. But we realized that we weren't alone, that there were a lot of other businesses and corporations and banks and others that had the same philosophy as us. And we feel like we all came together and have started something pretty exciting. But then along comes this organization that is one of my favorite in Newark, and I tweet about them all the time. And don't touch me because I will convert you. I got Father Ed from St. Benedict's, 65-year-old man, just joined Twitter. But the reality is we said that we want to join together with an amazing organization called IFEL, because IFEL, in my opinion, has it right. They are doing such incredible things in our city. And there are businesses. One of my favorite stories is the Harvels, who started a pediatric dentistry. They showed up in my office, and they're like, we want to start a business. And my office, my mayor's office, we looked at them and said, okay, go to BCDC, because we have a great program at BCDC. They went to BCDC. But they also started hooking up with people like IFEL right here. And whether it's the Harvels, whether it's Brick City Coffee, or a number of other businesses I can point to, this organization has got it right. And so today we've got a business plan competition. And many of these businesses, in my opinion, will go on, if they have the courage to leap, to believe in the genius of their dreams, to understand that failure is not final unless you give up, to know that it is a tough road ahead, but as Winston Churchill said, if you're going through hell, you keep on going. Because at the end of the day, we are called not to stay comfortable and safe, but we're called to jump out there and do. As I always say, I would rather have my ship sunk at sea than to have it rot in the harbor. And so today, I am encouraged more than you know, because you all are coming from a tradition that is deep in America. And it's not only a business tradition. It's not only a corporate tradition. It's not a tradition about making money. It is a tradition that was founded in the early days of this nation. It is this idea that we can have a free country that, through a market system and principles of democracy, can create abundance for everyone. Every generation has taken these perfect ideals and tried to make them into a perfect reality. every generation had people who did not see what was there. Every generation had someone who had a larger vision for itself. Every generation knew that if they worked hard, if they invested, if they made risks, calculated risks, that they could create wealth, and not just monetary, but wealth in terms of your quality of life, wealth in terms of the health and well-being of your family, and wealth in terms of how much you make a contribution to those around you. And in the end of the day, this is the highest calling. I end with a story from my family that is about this spirit. And it's a story I tell quite often because it's one of my favorite stories. Now, again, my grandfather and my father have a tendency to exaggerate a little bit in their stories. You know, both my grandfather and my father no longer say that they were poor. They were P-O. They couldn't afford the other two letters anymore. One-room segregated schoolhouses have turned out to be lean-tos on side of the mountains where they got school educated. And the climactic changes that have evolved in their stories, both of them, one from Monroe and the other one from the mountains of North Carolina, suddenly rainstorms and have turned into tsunamis and hurricanes in the mountains, Dad? Yes, hurricanes, son. My favorite story, and I'll end with this, must be apocryphal, but it's a simple story where my father tells that he was sitting in the back of a classroom and the teacher comes into the classroom and stands before them, folds her arms, says, "Class, it's the first day of school. I want to make sure y'all believe in yourself." By the way, this is a Jersey boy. It's the best Southern accent I can do. I'm insulting somebody here. I'm from the South. I know it. Security, watch it. Believe in yourself. I want to teach y'all about self-esteem today. Anybody in this here classroom thinks you're stupid, I want you to stand up right now. She stood there waiting. Nobody moved. All the boys and girls were like, "Who is this woman?" And she repeats herself. She goes, "Come on now, class. You think you're dumb? You think you're stupid? I want you to stand up right now." And my father says finally he just pushed his chair back in the back of the classroom and stood up. And the teacher looks at him, "Mr. Booker, boy, what's wrong with you, boy? You think you're dumb? You think you're stupid?" And my father scratched his head and said, "Well, shucks, ma'am, I don't think I'm stupid, but I didn't want you to be the only one standing." Ladies and gentlemen, folks might think you're crazy for working 24-hour days. Folks might think you're crazy because they don't see your idea. People might think you're crazy for having a vision that is so bold and so beautiful that they just don't get it. But you, no matter what, have to get up every day and stand for who you are. Your dreams are whispers from angels, and you must stand for them. You must not shrink from the truth of who you are. You must stand. You must not play small in a world that needs giants. You must not try to fit in when you were born to stand up and stand out. That is what an entrepreneur is, and you are standing up not only for yourselves and your financial well-being, you are standing up for this city. You are standing up for our nation. You are standing up for principles that are older and deeper than any of us in this room. And if you stand tall, whether you fall or not, you are going to inspire others to stand with you, and you will create a revolution of opportunity in this nation and our city. Believe in that. Thank you very much.